Welcome to In Pursuit of Truth. This is your host, Sir Patrick Mack. We are back, and ladies and gentlemen, you have been warned. The strike will be fast.
Round 3, fight!
Laser precision right there. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the butthurt is very strong amongst the social media platforms today. We're going to start you off at 3111, where we last left you off 4 minutes after the hour of 6. We get this Fox News link right here. Q says, you're warned at Jack, being at Jack Dorsey from Twitter. The strike will be fast. Let's keep playing. This is from Fox News. Nunes sues Twitter. Some users seek over $250 million, alleging anti-conservative shadow bans. California GOP Representative Devin Nunes filed a major lawsuit seeking $250 million in compensatory damages and $350,000 in punitive damages against Twitter and a handful of its users on Monday, accusing the social media site of shadow banning conservatives, including himself, to influence the 2018 elections, systematically censoring opposing viewpoints and totally ignoring lawful complaints of repeated abusive behavior. And there was a little accompanying video here, so let's check it out on Fox.
Tonight, Twitter is facing a fierce new legal battle over allegations that they censored conservative content on the site. California Congressman Devin Nunes has filed a major lawsuit tonight against the social media platform. He's accusing the site and some of its users of shadow banning conservatives in an attempt to influence last year's elections, silencing opposing viewpoints and, quote, ignoring complaints of abusive behavior. David Spunt breaks it all down for us in this story tonight. Hi, David.
Hey, Martha, good evening. This is the 40-page lawsuit. It was filed in Virginia State Court late this afternoon. Twitter, as you said, in the hot seat as Congressman Nunes alleges the social media giant did not remove defamatory and malicious tweets. Nunes says that those tweets are from real people and bogus accounts, and the tweets carry Nunes and his family's name. I want to read some of that suit to you that was filed. It says, quote, Twitter knew the defamation was and is happening. Twitter let it happen because Twitter had and has a political agenda and motive. Twitter allowed and allows its platform to serve as a portal of defamation in order to undermine public confidence in plaintiff and to benefit his opponents and opponents of the Republican Party. Now, Nunes goes on to allege that these tweets were an effort to distract him from doing his job with the investigation of potential corruption in the 2016 presidential election. Quote, the purpose of the concerted defamation campaign was to cause immense pain, intimidate, interfere with, and divert Nunes' attention from his investigation of corruption and Russian involvement in the 2016 presidential election. And get this, Nunes is seeking $250 million. That number sounds large, and it is. And guess what? It's the same number as Covington Catholic student Nick Sandman. Now, he's suing for defamation. In his case, the Kentucky Catholic high school student, you see him right there, he was plastered all over the headlines for a confrontation with a Native American man back in January. We, of course, reached out to Twitter about this lawsuit. Just heard back from them within the last 5 minutes, though. They say that they are not commenting on this case, but we did hear from Nunes' personal attorney. I want to read that statement. It says, quote, Twitter is a machine. It is a modern-day Tammany Hall. Congressman Nunes intends to hold Twitter fully accountable for its abusive behavior and misconduct. Now, right here, it says very clearly, trial by jury is demanded. And Martha, as you said, Devin Nunes not just talking about himself and his family, but also talking about other conservatives that he says are under attack.
Well, it's about time we start hitting them where it hurts in the pocketbook. And of course, Twitter and Facebook are the ones that are feeling the heat in the media right now, even though they don't really seem to even care to comment. I would love to toss YouTube into the mix too. Susan Wojcicki, of course, has worked overtime to make my life miserable and difficult to get videos out to you. Now, hundreds of you are still emailing me saying, hey, Patrick, I just thought I should let you know I think you're being shadow banned. Yes, I know. I tell you actually the same thing in virtually every single end of the video. I know lots of you guys watch all the way through to the end, and I appreciate that, but I still know that hundreds of you are not, because I'm telling you every single time that you guys are getting shadow banned, you're getting blocked, and it's going to be really, really hard to keep searching my videos. I'm sorry about that. I'm not tech support and I can't help that. All I can do is continue to put them out and hope that they get to you somehow. So for all of those of you who share my videos, that's why I appreciate you guys so much, because it really, really helps, and I know it puts your name on the line sharing my videos. I greatly appreciate it. And here's a classic example from yesterday. This is my video from yesterday entitled Strike in Pursuit of Truth Presents from the 18th. And as you can see, it has an age restriction on it. Now, anybody who's watched my channel for long enough knows that there's really no adult content. I like to keep everything clean on my channel for a very good reason. There are certain things that I try to avoid for the sake of not getting banned, and we still deal with this. So believe me, I know this on a daily basis. I'm dealing with it not just on a daily basis, but an all-day daily basis. So thank you for the emails and stuff. You guys don't need to notify me of that. Now, if you have something that you think I might not be aware of, or some sort of way around it, that would be what I'd love to hear. But thank you for that. Just keep trying and searching me, and I will keep putting them out here and hopefully getting them to you. And here's another classic example of what we're sort of dealing with here. This is my BitChute page, and as you can see, you can't even see the thumbnails except for this one video right here. Nothing seems to be working over here. It looks like the last video that was published was on March 14th, although I can't see the thumbnail here. March 16th and March 18th have both been uploaded to BitChute, but it still says process and publish. These things have been here for hours and hours and hours, and they still have not published. So for those of you who follow me on BitChute, thank you very much. This is why you're not seeing it. I don't really know what else to do. It's a real easy blanket answer to say let's all leave Twitter and YouTube, but the fact of the matter is that some of these other platforms aren't really performing either. So thank you guys to all of you who support me, and I know it's getting more and more difficult to find my videos. Please just understand it's also getting more and more difficult to put them out. Let's just keep trying to connect and do our best. Q says, you were warned, Jack. The strike will be fast. Let's keep playing. Well, we're trying to, Q. Some of us are just struggling to stay on the board. Let's move on to 3112. 10 minutes after the hour of 6, we get this New York Post link right here. Q says, so much effort to kill a LARP. Nothing to see here. From the New York Post, suspected mob boss killer writes MAGA forever, QAnon symbol on his hand.
Why are you the way that you are?
There's at least one Don he really likes. I see what you did there. The man suspected of gunning down mafia kingpin Francesco Frankie Boy Cali showed off a hand covered in scrawls related to President Trump and the conservative QAnon movement at his first court appearance on Monday. Anthony Comello, 24, who even yawned during the highly anticipated appearance in a New Jersey courtroom, held up his left palm and revealed a large bold Q written in blue ink in the center of his hand. Okay, that looks a lot like a junior high schooler's hand. It was surrounded by the phrases MAGA forever, which we don't really say, United we stand, and Patriots in charge, USA. Patriots in charge appears to be a variant of the slogan Patriots are in control, which is associated with online followers of, yep, you guessed it, QAnon, who's purported to be one or more high-level government insiders aware of a deep state conspiracy against Trump. And then we decide to conflate this little issue, a book titled QAnon, An Invitation to the Great Awakening, which has nothing to do with this guy, which claims to have been written by 12 anonymous QAnon followers, which is not hard to believe, is this week's number 7 bestseller on Amazon.com, which is also not hard to believe, following its publication late last month. Comello has been researching QAnon online and often wears one of Trump's signature Make America Great Again hats, law enforcement sources told the Post. Okay, well, we don't see any pictures of that, and if he'd been researching QAnon online a lot, he probably wouldn't be saying Patriots in charge. I think you see what's going on, right? They're taking this knucklehead who's probably very, very expendable cannon fodder. And this guy is suspected of gunning down Mafia Kingpin Francesco Frankie Boy Cali, which you would think would probably be taking a lot of pressure off the FBI's hands, right? No, instead, they want to go ahead and blame this on Q Anon. And because this guy's easy cannon fodder, they can easily put him away, and who knows what will ever happen to him again. He might be on a vacation island somewhere in the Seychelles. Got this little Q on his hand saying, MAGA forever. Patriots in charge. Sounds like he doesn't really follow Q well enough. All right, well, there you go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it looks like we are upgrading to butt hurt level ballistic. Q says so much effort to kill a LARP. Nothing to see here. Wow, well, that's an interesting choice of words, Q. Let's move on for now. 31:13, 17 minutes after the hour of 6. No. What occurred the last time a countdown was presented? Well, you tell us. A false flag did, and I am assuming we are talking about a certain event that took place in New Zealand, and I have a feeling that that was probably why my last video got tagged. Do you believe in coincidences? Not at all. Never interfere with an enemy while they are making a mistake. That is a quote from the great Sun Tzu. Ammunition is hard to come by. Yeah, as they keep bringing out these situations and putting the blame on everybody else but themselves, after a while they start to get really, really sloppy, and we're starting to see that. Now, unfortunately, I can't go into a whole lot of video and stuff regarding the New Zealand event, but I think we're all aware of what's up. We know something's suspect. We know this appears to be one of these right here. We'll call them a foxtrot, right? And whenever we have a foxtrot, the first people that get blamed is QAnon, white nationalists, and anybody wearing a red hat, right? Well, after a while, when you keep popping off like that, you run out of ammo, and that's what Q has been doing, giving time countdowns and things like that. Now, we've been following these countdowns too, and I think there's a lot of great theories. And, for myself, that's probably a reason why I don't necessarily like to predict dates. It doesn't necessarily mean that we're not on a countdown. It's just that I'm not really good at predicting them, and it seems that it really seems to have a bigger purpose of getting the deep state to go ahead and act, because they can't afford to be wrong. And I think that's what's so important about this. They can't afford to be wrong. If Q gives a countdown, it may or may not be a real countdown, but the deep state can't afford to take any chances. So what do? They pop off, and they popped off big time in New Zealand. And I think it's going to come back to bite them in a very big way. But each time they do that, they expend their ammunition. Post 31:14, 19 minutes after the hour of 6, we get this Twitter link right here to 8chan, but not 8chan on Twitter, 8chan's Twitter on Twitter. The 8chan administration is responding to the law enforcement regarding the recent incident where many websites were used by a criminal to publicize his crime. We always comply with U.S. law and won't comment further on this incident so as to not disrupt the ongoing investigation. All right, well, this is pretty incredible. I think we realize what's happening here, right? The New Zealand incident was clearly a way to draw attention to 8chan. And of course, they've always wanted to sell 8chan as this horrible place full of white nationalism. Now, to be fair, 8chan is a pretty gnarly place. If you guys have been on there, and many of you have, and continue to post there, you know that it's some place that you probably don't want to take the kids, right? But it's also a very important place. But most importantly for us, it is the exclusive place in which Q posts. And of course, this says right here, who is the real intended target? Well, we know that, right? We know the incident in New Zealand was intended to go back to Q. And we just saw this story from the New York Post with this suspected gunman, and he's got a Q on his hand. Funny how much attention we're getting, and yet none of these people even get the phrases right. And of course, every time they do that, they want to bring up the book, and they want to bring up the Hoover Dam story from a long time ago. They want to tie it to every single knucklehead that they can, because the fact of the matter is that they don't want to just take down 8chan. It's not really about taking down 8chan. It's taking down Q. Well, all for a LARP, huh? 31:15, 24 minutes after the hour of 6. Mueller report delay. Panic in D.C. The real panic comes in the form of a last resort. And then we've got a few numbers here. +21, +2, and +4. And they're all in brackets. Well, we've heard Q mention last resort before. Let me take you back.
Got a flashback aside, yeah, take you back, yeah.
Taking you back to post 2658. It says 7th of January for me, but for those of you in the United States, it would be the 6th of January. I'm going to take you down here where Q is referencing panic in D.C. Why? What was lost? The power of the purse. Commander-in-Chief of the United States military. Power to replace senior officials within crucial government positions, departments, who can then replace senior, mid, low positions. Trickle-down replacement. Power to appoint Supreme Court justices. And that was what was so important. What if HRC had won and appointed 2+ crooked Supreme Court justices? You can just imagine, right? And this is where we see the last resort. Power to directly undo Hussein previous EOs, which harmed greatly, limited the U.S. in many vital, necessary ways. Power to rebuild the United States military back to a global superpower. Okay, so that was the first time that we saw the last resort, and we saw it again over here in 3028 from the 12th of March. Rod Rowe deposition week, Rod Rowe departure thereafter, Mueller report post-deposition of Rod Rowe, Mueller sealed indictments installed D.C. prior to Rod Rowe loss of power, sealed indictments D.C. blockade being the last resort. And remember, we were talking about these indictments that were going to go against Trump's children. Was that part of the last resort? Installed post-Sessions departure and Whitaker assumption. Okay, so could it be that these indictments that are having to be dealt with were the last resort that Q is talking about? Q is also talking about how these people have been expending their ammunition. Let's remember, too, that we just read in 3112, Q had said, so much effort to kill a LARP. Seems like a really interesting reference. Are they trying to make an attempt on the POTUS or Q? Is that part of the last resort? And let's remember back in post 586 from the 23rd of January, the very first line. What would happen if text originating from an FBI agent to several internals discussed the assassination possibility of the POTUS or member of his family? What if the text suggests foreign allies were involved? Forget the Russia setup, 1 of 22. This is only the beginning. Be careful what you wish for as the world turns. Okay, well, it would seem to me like an assassination attempt on the POTUS would definitely be a last resort, or a member of his family. And of course, they tried to indict members of his family. And I suppose if that didn't work, could it be possible that they've discussed this? Now, I just want to toss this out here. The last time that a couple delays came, they came at a cost. One being the death of No Name McCain, and the other being the death of George Herbert Walker Bush, right? And that was in order to prevent an appearance on Fox by this whistleblower, Nate Kane, that was going to blow something up in regards to the DNC and Uranium One, right? So it says now the real panic comes in the form of a last resort. In one of those previous posts I just read you, we were talking about Supreme Court justices, which leads me to wonder if they might be ready to compromise on you-know-who. I'm not going to say it, but meanwhile, everyone's trying to figure out, where's Bader? Bader? The world may never know. Now, in regards to these numbers here, we had this 21-day countdown that we were looking at that would have been ending today, right? Could this mean that we're having a couple different holds, a +2 and a +4, meaning a 6-day extension? I'm not so sure. It seems to be the only thing that I see with the number patterns and these countdowns oftentimes are to draw the deep state out, and Q's already alluded to that anyway. It makes them expend their ammunition because they've got to abide by this. And if they don't, I suppose Q could go, just according to plan. But if they are truly trying to get the deep state to expend their ammunition, this would be another way of doing it. And I suppose if they really want to report, they want to go ahead and delay this report, then they would have to give something up, because I think the Q team is very, very aware of the fact that us Patriots are ready to see some bacony, cheesy goodness. So you guys can let me know what you think down below. Let's move on for now. From 3116 to 3122, we have kind of what reads to be a bit of a high school yearbook here. Let's introduce the cast of characters before talking about them. 3116, 27 minutes after the hour of 6, voted most likely to leak. James can't shut your yapper clapper. 3117. No, 28 minutes after the hour of 6, voted most likely to disappoint her parents. Sally Q. Yates. 3118, 29 minutes after the hour of 6, most likely to dox her own parents. Susan Sticky Rice. 3119, 29 minutes after the hour of 6, Aunt Loretta voted most likely to maybe become Supreme Court Justice. Nice. Post 3120, 29 minutes after the hour of 6. Voted most likely to convert to radical Islam. John, he's a brute.
By Menon.
Brennan. Post 3121, 30 minutes after the hour of 6. Most likely to rat on his own homies. James, I ain't your homie, Comey. And 3122, 30 minutes after the hour of 6. Voted most likely to perpetually come in second. Mr. Andrew McCabe. So what do all these knuckleheads have in common? FISA, FISA, FISA. Clapper submitted a FISA application. He was also one of our leaky pants, leaking to the media, right? Sally Yates signed a FISA warrant. Susan Rice, she was responsible for unmasking anybody who had to do with the Trump team, right? And then, of course, Loretta Lynch, like James Clapper, also submitted a FISA application. Then you got John Brennan. He was the one keeping Obama posted through those daily briefs, making sure he knew what was up. And of course, he was also a leaky pants to the media, right? And then, of course, you've got nobody's homie Comey and McCabe, who both signed off on FISA applications. Comey signing off on 3 of them. So there you go. FISA, FISA, FISA. I also want to point out that all of these pictures are labeled 220, 220px, 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 so on and so forth. So is it either 22, one of 22, or 220, a particular message? You guys can let me know down below. 3123. 20 minutes after the hour of 7, we get this Twitter status to Devin Nunes, who says, looking forward to being on Sean Hannity to discuss X. Now, I wanted to point out a couple of things. This X was used for people who were getting shadow banned, and a lot of people would put them in your names. And then Twitter was actually using those X's to kind of help themselves continue to shadow ban you. So I would suggest, I don't know if that's still going on or not, but if you have this in your Twitter handle, you might want to take it out because it might be helping contribute to your shadow ban. But that's what we're talking about, shadow banning. I also want to point out, too, in the game of bowling, an X is a strike. Thanks to an Anon who had mentioned that before I'd even read this tweet, but that is indeed true. So could that be a reference to the strike that Q is talking about? Well, let's see what Devin Nunes was talking about. He was indeed on Hannity, and it was a bit of a lengthy interview, so I broke it down for you in a montage. Check it out.
Oh, it's a montage, because we ain't trying to watch the whole dang thing now.
Tell us about the suit.
Yeah, so this is the first of many, Sean. And what we're doing here is we're actually going after Twitter first because they are the main proliferator and they spread this fake news and the slanderous news. So if you look at the lawsuit, I think at night people can go and look at it on Fox News. It's all there. But the case we're basically making is this was an orchestrated effort. So people were targeting me. There were anonymous accounts that were developed. And look, there's not supposed to be, these accounts aren't supposed to exist. Twitter says that they don't have accounts that do this. So, like I said, this is the first of many lawsuits that are coming, but there were several fake news accounts, whether it was regard to the Russia investigation or to me, and we have to hold all of these people accountable, because if we don't, our First Amendment rights are at stake here. This isn't 20 years ago, Sean. What's happening is that Twitter becomes the gaslighting for all of the news. And when they're regulating us, they're regulating what people can see on my tweets, which they've done, and then they're proliferating out things that they agree with the algorithms that they develop. They need to come clean. They're not a public square. They are content developers.
Your analysis has not shown that it is fair across the board and that a lot of these social media sites are, in fact, using those algorithms, if you will, or their behaviors to advance one side, which would then be, what, a political donation for Democrats?
Well, how is it that every day there's conservatives that are being banned? So, look, they don't want to call it shadow banning. That's fine. They can call it whatever they want to call it. But the fact of the matter is people could not see my tweets. Okay? So now, but if you move forward, if you get emails from Twitter, it's constantly left-wing stuff. It's constantly fake news stuff. So I think if Twitter wants to be in the public square and they don't want to be a content developer, they should come clean, give us all your algorithms. How is it possible that I can be attacked relentlessly hundreds of times a day by fake accounts that they claim in their terms of service should not be there? So I guarantee you, if I put something out that was sexually explicit or attacked someone personally, they would stop it. They would say this is a sensitive tweet. They never did that to any of the people that were coming after me or other conservatives. So, and this is more than just conservatives. Every American should care about this if they care about the First Amendment, because the press has definitely changed. You've said it numerous times. The press is dead. And that's why if we don't go and clean this up, and I actually said this on your show a few weeks ago, this is part of the continuing Russia investigation. We're not going to just let all these fake news stories that were written about this investigation, about this hoax, that were lies. We're going to challenge every single one of them in court. We're just starting with Twitter.
Yo, man, this kid is ready to go.
How much more is coming? Because I'm told this is only the beginning of what will be an avalanche of information that it has been hard to get out, but it's now coming.
Yeah, it's slowly coming. So this was all a result of the task force that we set up last year. We have now sent over about 50 names to the new chairman of the Intelligence Committee that we would like to interview to continue this investigation. There is also the information that is still classified that we would like to be declassified, and that is primarily 20 pages of the last FISA. The Bruce Orr 302s, the FBI reports that Bruce Orr was involved in, it's critical to have those because, as you know, Bruce Orr is a central figure in this, just like Andy McCabe.
And the whole Clinton bought and paid for Russian lies, the dossier, we knew before the election, it's all not true. And Steele says it himself, right?
And also why it's so important, Sean, part of the reason that I'm starting with Twitter in these lawsuits and going on to the fake news stories, it's important to know who was behind putting those fake news stories out.
Wow. All right. We're going to follow this very closely. I think there's a lot to this story, a lot more than may meet the eye on its surface.
So there you go. Some interesting takeaways from that. First of all, that this lawsuit is the first of many, like Nunes said. And don't even be surprised if yours truly jumps in on one of those at one of these points. Just saying. But they're going after all these fake news media stories that went towards Russian collusion. Of course, that's going to open a wealth of information. So even though FISA and all this D-class and all this bacony, cheesy goodness is coming out in sort of a slow drip, it is indeed coming out, and it's got the DC knuckleheads in a panic. But it's nice to see that we're starting with Twitter. Hopefully we'll work our way towards YouTube and start making these knuckleheads play fair. All right, guys, those are your Q posts from Politico. Alan Kruger, Democratic labor economist, dies at 58. Alan Kruger, a celebrated labor economist whose research influenced Democratic policy on the minimum wage, died this past weekend at 58. Here's the kicker. The cause of death was suicide, according to a statement from Kruger's family released by Princeton University, where Kruger held a chair in political economy. Kruger was chair of the White House Council of Economic Advisors under Obama and chief economist at the Labor Department under President Bill Clinton. A leading scholar on jobs, wages, and income distribution, Kruger joined the Princeton faculty in 1987. He saw economic policy not as a matter of abstract theories, but as a way to make people's lives better, former President Barack Obama said in a written statement. Through it all, he had a perpetual smile and a gentle spirit, even when he was correcting you. All right, so very interesting stuff here. Let's read a little bit more about Kruger. Kruger joined the Obama administration in 2009 as a deputy Treasury Secretary, helping to steer the U.S. out of the Great Recession. Wait a minute, that happened? Then? He was Obama's chief economic advisor in 2011 to 2013. In 1993, Kruger co-published with Berkeley's David Card an academic paper that challenged the widely held assumption that raising the minimum wage always caused job loss. Their findings, based on a survey of fast food restaurants in New Jersey and Pennsylvania, were cited widely in recent years as Democrats pressed to raise the hourly minimum wage to $15. Meanwhile, at McDonald's, yikes! Well, there you go. Another Clinton connection, another quote-unquote suicide. My goodness. All right, kids. Well, let's hope that Q is being true to their word when they say these strikes will be coming fast. All right, Patriots, that's all I got for you today. As always, If you like this video, please click like, share, and subscribe. Thanks to all of you who do that already. If you are new to my channel, please listen carefully. If you are new to my channel, please understand that from time to time, you're going to get unclicked and unnotified and unsubscribed. And it looks like as of late, it's going to be really, really hard for you to even click on my videos. So just please do your best. I will do my best in keeping these out as much as I can. All my alternate channel links are down below too. My Gab, my BitChute, which unfortunately is also not working, real.video, which is pretty much gone away, also not working, but I am still holding strong over here at Twitter at IPOT 1776. That's at IPOT 1776. And won't you join me over here if you are on Twitter? I do a lot of things that I can't do on YouTube, covering lots of stories that I just don't have time to make videos for. All those links are down below. My email is down below. If you'd like to share some information, please send it to my email. It's linked down below. I've got a P.O. box down there if you're old school and want to send me something. And if you'd like to support the channel, my Patreon link is down below. All those links are down below. And I'd like to take this chance just to thank all of you guys. This is a really, really difficult time for all of us. Hang in there. We're winning. Stick it out. We're going to come out on the other end victorious. All right, kids, this is Sir Patrick Mack. And until next time, stay safe.